Hey up, podcast fans. Welcome back to another episode of the HKT Podcast. Today we're on episode number 56 and we're going to be joined by Ben Cathro. But first, I got to tell you that this episode is literally supported by SAXX underwear. And finally, we have our limited edition collaboration SAXX boxer short available to purchase. I decided to use the Vibe range for these because it's pretty much the jack of all trades. From walking to the pub, hurtling down your favourite trail, or seducing the better half, these are perfect. They are made from super soft viscose, feature flat out seams, the anti-roll waistband, and of course, the patented ballpark pouch. Now, the Vibe usually retails for £25, but we decided to give you these for $14.99 and also include free shipping. And of course, all profits are going to be reinvested into the podcast. If you want to grab a pair, head to 35bikes.com and you'll find the HKT Podcast merch tab. Just click that, select your size, and that's it. Help support the podcast and let us help support you. This episode is also supported by 35 Bikes. 35 Bikes is our in-house brand at HKT Products, and we are dedicated to bringing you the best bike components for the best prices. So if you're in the hunt for some new brake pads, brake rotors, mud guards, or whatever, head to 35bikes.com, and if you enter the promo code podcast, you'll get 20% off your entire order, and you'll also get free shipping. Alrighty, so on today's episode, we are joined by Ben Cathro. Ben's videos have recently drawn a lot of attention for his in-depth track and line analysis at World Cup races, but there's a lot more to Ben than what you might see on YouTube. So on this episode, we cover his early race career, riding for some of the biggest teams in the business around the world, some of the challenges and struggles that have come with that, some of the stories. Yes, we talk about the skin suit as well. And we chat about his coaching company based up in Scotland called SAXX Skills. Make sure you listen right to the end because he drops some epic golden coaching nuggets as well. And we chat about how and why he started his YouTube and how that whole thing has evolved, because it's evolved very quickly. Don't forget, if you are enjoying listening to these episodes or you're a new listener, please head over to iTunes, leave us a little bit of feedback, and if you can share the episode with your friends, please do that. It makes a world of difference as well. So without further ado, let's hand over to Ollie Wilkins and Main Event, and let's get on with this episode. Enjoy!
Hi, I'm Ollie Wilkins, and this is the HKT Podcast. Hold tight, freshers. Okay.
But I've pressed it and I kind of like slid it in there nicely. So
okay, we're on. We're live.
We are live. We are ready to take your podcast virginity, I think.
Excellent. I can't wait. Well, actually, I think I've recorded another one, but I can't remember if it actually went out or not. But,
oh, really?
Yeah.
Who was that with?
It was a friend, Morgan Gulland. He does them, and I think it stopped recording halfway through because his laptop ran out of memory.
Oh, no. Mate, I've had that as well. I've had a few of those. I did we've got like a series which runs as well called EWS or Bust, which is basically one of our sponsored riders, Rich Payne. We sort of like break down the Enduro Race series after he's returned home. So we do it after each event. And this special episode we did with him and Lou Buchanan as well. And it was like a bit of a sort of, you know, his view of it, Lewis coming from a professional athlete point of view, and Rich's point of view as a privateer. Yeah. And idiot here never pressed record. So we recorded the whole thing. It was like 2.5 hours long. And then I'm like,
thinking this is some quality content.
Yeah, I'm like, this is rad. Like, that was really good fun. It was super organic. And then I was like, guys, I didn't press record. I'm so sorry. And luckily those guys obviously are really nice, and we just did it again like 2 nights after, but and it was equally as good, I'd like to think. It was almost like a dress rehearsal or something. I don't know. Yeah, I've had it a few times. I did it, sorry to bore you. I did it at Crankworks as well. Did a really cool little podcast with Regatkin. And yeah, never pressed record on that either.
Did he re-record?
Nah, he's like, yeah, 100%. He was like, nah, we'll do it. But we never like crossed paths again. And we were exchanging messages on Insta and stuff, and I was texting him, and then it just never happened. Those guys are stacked at Crankworks, like they're so busy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate you taking the time out. I know you're a busy dude at the minute.
Not by choice, it seems. I feel like I've fallen into it. It's just like I would classify myself as a lazy person. But
really?
I've just given myself so much to do. I've no choice. So yeah, it's been hectic this year.
Yeah, it looks like it, man. Like, obviously we're going to get into the video stuff and sort of what you're doing with CATHROVISION soon, but I've only kind of recently just been turned on to some of your content as well, man. But I've really enjoyed doing a bit of research into you and seeing what you're doing.
How far did you go
mate,
back in the videos?
I've unearthed loads of stuff. You've never spoke about your criminal record or nothing, have you?
Okay, yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to hear about. But yeah.
You might learn something about yourself. Just fake news.
Yeah. Suppressed memories that I've buried.
Yeah, maybe.
I look forward to this then.
Nah, for sure. So, usually the best way of kicking these things off is sort of getting a bit of the backstory about you. And I think one thing that I sort of learned, and maybe a lot of people out there think the same as well, is that obviously they'll know you from a lot of the recent YouTube stuff and CATHROVISION and all that sort of stuff, but there's actually, a long career of mountain biking and racing and all that sort of stuff also, which maybe people don't necessarily know about. So I really want to talk to you about that. But can you kick off by sort of saying, where you grew up and sort of like, were you always into mountain biking as a kid and all that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so grew up west coast of Scotland, near a town called Oban, and the actual town I live in, which was got made fun of in school, was called Benderloch, and it doesn't mean it's the Loch of Benders. It's actually Gaelic, and it means the mountain between two lochs.
Okay.
Yeah, I grew up there, and I guess I've always been into biking, and actually I didn't really realise that I had been until I think I asked my mum about it, and she was showing me pictures from when I was a kid, just about 3-4 years old, with the classic wooden ramp, bricks in the garden, just sending drops and landing, and spannering myself.
Right.
So yeah, always kind of been keen on bikes, and my parents were really into me doing lots of sports. So in school, I did lots of athletics and swimming and all these kind of things. And they actually took me to a few mountain bike races when I was younger. But I didn't know what mountain biking was. I was just riding my bike, and it was just little cross country races. And that was my first major injury. I think it was the first ever bike race I'd done. And I remember I overtook someone. I was so excited that I'd overtaken someone that I just went into a compression flat out, ejected the bars and sliced my knee open so I could see my kneecap. And that was, I think, the first of many crashes to come. That was when I was about 7.
Oh, was it really?
And, but I didn't actually know what mountain biking was till I was maybe about 10 or 11, and there was a Scottish downhill race in Benderloch in my local town. And I saw that happen, and I was just like, this is the greatest thing
no way.
ever.
Really?
I didn't know you could actually do that on a bike. I'd just been kind of riding around on around paths and kind of things like that. I didn't realize you could do jumps and ride across routes and do drops and things. Yeah. And thought it was so cool. And then a friend of mine, actually, soon after that, Chris Hutchins, who actually lived about 2 miles away from me, he also still pretty big in biking. He did a race and did really good, like a downhill race. And I was thinking, I think I could beat him. And then that's how I got into downhill racing.
No way.
So I could kind of credit Chris to getting me into downhill racing because I felt like
you still close as well with Chris.
Oh God, yeah,
That's
it's wild. And like we spent our childhood racing together, and he would beat me, I would beat him, and that was probably why we both became like pretty decent racers.
Yeah.
Because we had each other to compete against.
That competitive streak.
Yeah.
So your family and stuff then were never, mountain bikers or anything like that. What,
No, well, my dad always knew about it. He actually used to do motocross, wee bit of that, and a bit of trials motorbiking when he was younger.
Okay.
Never like seriously, but he's always been quite competitive. He did quite good at clay pigeon shooting. I think he was British champ at that.
Right.
So I think our family's always been quite competitive. My mum's always competed in horse riding and dressage and show jumping and things like that. Yeah. And but I think my dad wanted me to do some motorbiking because that's what he really liked.
Yeah.
But I think I didn't like motorbikes. They were too scary. And I just preferred riding my mountain bike. So.
Fair enough. Okay. That's cool. It's always interesting to sort of like figure out like how you got into it. Do you know what I mean? Because again, it's something that you don't necessarily talk about to people unless you're doing an interview or something like that. So yeah, it's rad. Real cool. And obviously growing up where you grew up in Scotland is ideal for mountain biking. So that's going to help. It's not like you have to travel a million miles just to get, to some sort of descent. So
I was lucky to have like 2 miles away a decent size hill that we would just build tracks on, get in trouble with the Forestry Commission, build other tracks, get in trouble for those. Just like constant cycle. And I was fortunate. And then Fort William was about an hour up the road.
Yeah. I was going to say you're over that way, aren't you? Yeah. My geography is not amazing, mate, to be honest. Even, my global geography is terrible, but my English and Scottish geography is just as bad. I'm awful.
I'm with you on that.
Considering my job as well, like I look after all the sales for Hook It, so I'm on the road 4 or 5 days a week, driving up and down the country, but I still have no idea where I'm going every day. I just pump it into the sat nav and just
That's it. I blame sat nav.
Yeah, they make you lazy, right? Like
you don't need to know where anything is.
Not at all. My dad's one of those guys that, we're going somewhere and he gets the map out and stuff. And I'm like, what the hell? Just pump it into here. Let it take you.
Yeah. Although it's fine now, but I can remember the days when you couldn't trust them. You have to have a sat nav and a map.
Yes, I remember that too.
Yeah.
Like we're not trusting technology yet. It's too early. So when was like the sort of like jump starting your career then, really, when you started taking it a little bit more seriously? Did you race like some sort of like, events as you grew up every weekend or?
Yeah. Well, I mean, when I was younger, in terms of racing, the only events I really knew about or I guess really enjoyed were just the downhill ones from the Scottish Downhill Series. So I spent, I guess, the first few years just racing them, and then I won a few of them in the juvenile category, so that's like 11 to 13, I think it is. And then once my dad accepted that I was actually not too bad at it, we started going to the national ones and did a few of them. And then I guess, like, I don't know what your definition of taking it seriously is, but I've always done it just because I really loved it. And then I guess it was World Cup age, so junior, was when I started doing like a little bit of training, and back then training was I would ride my cross-country bike once a week. I was, flipping heck, I'm taking this seriously now. So yeah, junior age 16, and I was riding for the Hub in the Forest. If you've ever heard of the original Glen Tress bike shop that was ran by Emma and Tracy. So that was like, we rode Kona bikes, went to the World Cups, and that was when things started really going seriously.
That sounds good. And were your family still like involved as well? Like, was your dad going to races with you?
Yeah, well, my mum came to a few back when I started, and then found it absolutely terrifying, and then was like, "No, that's yours. You go and do that. But I'll stay at home."
Yeah.
But my dad it was crazy. He would take me everywhere to all the World Cups, all the kind of national races, just like sacrificing loads of time to take me everywhere so I could kind of do all the races. So yeah, he was big
Right.
kind of getting me everywhere.
That's cool. That's kind of like a theme which runs along like all these podcasts. I mean, like, spoke to a lot of people on this thing now. I mean, like, I can't remember what episode this is. I think it's 56. Yeah, I know. Crazy, right? Jesus. Tell me about it, mate. It's but like there's an ongoing theme, you know, even from sort of like Danny Mac to like Nyquist and all those sort of guys. They've all been like, they've all had supportive parents, and it's a shame though, obviously, when you see that young kids don't have that. Do you know what I mean? Like, and it can really hinder having a hobby and passion for something, I think, when you're young. So that's cool. And obviously, same with me, you know, with what I was doing when I was younger. I spent a lot of time traveling around with my dad. And it's, you know, when you look back, like you were saying, you know, you kind of forget, don't you, all this stuff you've done. And they're like some of the happiest times of my life have been like just traveling around with my dad in a van and riding bikes, you know. It's crazy. So that's good, man, that they're super keen on it as well. That's really nice.
You say traveling in the van was some of the happiest times. I can remember talking about sat-navs and maps, a bit of traveling with the dad.
Yeah.
Oh God, we would argue so much about which way to go. And I remember one time, my dad's like he likes to plan things, and he likes technology as well. So one time we had a Garmin sat nav running, and I don't know how he did it. I had some kind of different sat nav running on a laptop.
Wow.
So like we were going all out, but one was saying go one way, one was saying go the other. My dad was asking which way should I go. I didn't know because I was getting told two different things, and then we ended up, you can just follow the signs above the road. They'll take you where you want to go.
Those things.
It's like we're trying to find the ferry terminal, and you know what it's like. It's like, it'll take you factually to where the terminal is, but that's the way you would go if you were in a lorry or something like that.
Yeah.
So, oh God, I could remember some stressful journeys, but
we were me and my dad, and we used to travel with another couple of friends. So there's this is when I used to race a little bit of motocross when I was younger, right? And my dad's awful with directions. He's like me times 10. He has no idea where he's going. We once tried to go to Scarborough and ended up in London, like. That's the sort of shit we're dealing with, right? And so a guy called Mark, who's my dad's mate, was driving. No, my dad was driving, and he said to Mark, he's like, just give me a nudge when you need me to turn off. No problem at all. Mark fell asleep. I'm asleep in the back on the bed in the van. And we woke up. We were like 2 hours away from where we were meant to be. And he's, you know, obviously woke up with a bit of a like, what the hell? Where are we? Why are we at a boat yard? We were in like Hull Docks, I think it was.
He's just not turned for 2 hours.
No, he just kept going for 2 hours until he got the nudge. Pretty funny. But yeah, man, like those times were, you know, irreplaceable, you know?
Yeah.
Looking back, there were some really happy memories. So did your dad like travel with you on the World Cup scene as well?
Yeah, well, when you're a junior and you're not on like a team that goes to the races, there isn't another way to do it unless you've got mates to travel with. So yeah, he first 2 years of junior, or the only 2 years of junior, he came to all of them. And I think I didn't do the full series, but did most of them.
Okay.
I can remember the first one I ever did, first World Cup, was in Germany, at the Villingen track, which was like, I don't know if you ever saw, but it was like a BMX track.
Really?
And it's just like massive jumps, like motorway the whole way down. And I can remember I crashed on my qualifying run. I like washed out. There was one grassy turn, and obviously went into it far too keen. First World Cup when it was raining, and I washed out and like slid underneath the tape. I was like absolutely panicking, then ran back on, and then I think I qualified like 79th.
Right.
I was like top 80 quality, so like just snuck it. Because back then, junior and elite were just put together. There was no junior category.
Okay.
Everyone raced in elite, and then I'm pretty sure I finished 40th in the race run.
Wow.
Like I didn't crash. Because I think back then it wasn't as hard as it is now.
Okay.
But I was really pleased with that, being like top 40 in the world at my first World Cup.
Yeah, that's some bragging rights right there, isn't it?
Yeah. Like,
told you, Dad.
Really... yeah, it was like, oh, yeah, okay, you're pretty good.
I'll sell you motorbike then. All right.
Yeah. No, that was cool.
That's
nice. Felt almost like paying him back for all the effort as well, getting those good results. And he was stoked as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So good.
So obviously you're riding on the team with the shop then. I mean, when did it sort of springboard to getting a bit more of a deal and sort of getting travel and expenses and stuff, if that ever did happen?
Yeah, it did. I think second year junior, I won the national series and then had a few good World Cup results and got picked up by the Q Bikes Sab Salomon team. And that is currently... It's the Specialized team now, so Specialized Gravity team.
Gravity, yeah.
A few generations ago, that was the Sab Salomon Q Bikes team, but it's just like changed brands over the years. It's managed by the same guy, Laurent Delorme.
Okay, yeah.
Got picked up by them and rode for them for a season, and that was expenses, a couple bikes, but I did not deal with being on a team very well.
Did you not?
I think no. It was there was like a totally French team, so I felt like a wee bit of an outsider. It was like 2 French riders, French manager, French mechanics. I didn't speak French. Took it in school. I got a good grade.
Yeah, you come out with like two words like I did.
yeah. And then I just buckled under the pressure. I think just lots of crashes. Really struggled. So I got 3 no qualifies, 2 70ths, and then I got 1 good race where I got 15th. And that was a stressful year.
Yeah. You know what? I was reading an interview last night, actually, because, like, one of the cool things about doing this sometimes is you obviously have to research into people a little bit. I mean, I've learned over the years of doing this now that you're best not to research a lot and just go with it and just see what happens. I think I was really guilty in the past of like really doubling down and being like, no, I want to talk about this. And if the conversation doesn't go that way, you kind of like get flustered. Whereas now it's like, whatever, just go with it. But so you've not done loads of interviews really, which is kind of cool because there's not, other than all of your YouTube content, you've not, from what I've seen, you've not done loads of interviews. So you can't really do the research and stuff. And that's kind of, cool in a way because it gives you this platform to talk about this sort of shit, right?
Been under the radar.
Yeah. So I read an interview last night. It was a German interview though, which was it's all in German.
Was that recent?
Yeah, it might have been like the start of this year, but it did cover. You did chat about some of like your earlier days and stuff. But one of the things you mentioned in there was like having like mental. I've written down here. I've written mental problems.
Depends who you ask.
But you did talk about like having just like dealing with pressure and stuff like that, which is super interesting because again, it's a bit of a running theme through this whole thing is that especially in the early days, the first time you get on a team, the first time you're actually dealing with pressure and having to deliver some form of result. It's a lot of pressure, especially at, I mean, what age were you then? You must have been
17 or 18.
Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't really know how kind of to deal with any of it either. It was like every World Cup I would end up having to kind of run off at the top and then go throw up somewhere. Right. And I almost missed quite a few of my start times because I was in a toilet or in the bushes somewhere being ill. And it's, I think, I know that has happened to lots of other people, lots of other top riders. I've had that as well.
Yeah.
But I just never quite found a way to properly channel that like adrenaline and energy. Like I would be too erratic and not focused enough on my runs. So sometimes it would come together. Other times I would just not be focused, miss a line, and then end up crashing or going too fast, trying to push too hard. Yeah. And it's only in my later years that I feel like I'm kind of starting to figure it out.
I think though maybe science has caught up with it a lot more too. We didn't used to really know, especially with mindfulness and all that sort of stuff, how to actually deal with these things that you're feeling. Whereas now we're a little, that you've got like Loic and Steve all using mental coaches these days. There was probably none of that shit. It was a case of just like suck it up and get on with it. You to an extent, let the talent do the work, sort of thing. But that'll only get you so far half the time, won't it?
That's it. Yeah, it's all the top guys can win a World Cup. Like top 20 could all win, but it's who's got the best head on the day that usually wins it.
Yeah. Can you imagine as well, like being one of these young YouTube stars now, at that sort of age, like 17, 18, dealing with social media and everything else that comes. I mean, you were doing that then before you had social media and not the internet maybe, but the internet as we know it now.
Mm.
There was none of that pressure, but it's still bloody hard. Whereas now, holy shit.
I know. Yeah, internet comments are flipping cancer, man.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, that's unfair. A lot of people are very supportive, but they definitely can be pretty bad.
Mm. Oh, yeah, for sure, man. I mean, again, I've not really had it too much with this thing, but there's definitely been a few comments I've seen, and I'm just like, right, I want to respond, but then you're like, nah, I can't respond to that. I just let it go, man. It is what it is.
Can't please everyone.
No, you can't, mate. You can't please everyone. No, not at all. Not at all. So then, just to go back, so obviously you were dealing with sort of like the stress and all that sort of stuff, and did that mean that you lost that ride? Did you have to then go back to being full privateer? Or
well, actually, after that, I think I wasn't really gelling with the team because language barrier, and I'm quite a reserved person, so I wasn't really, adding to the team, if that makes sense. And then, actually, after that, Chris Hutchins, my friend was talking about earlier, joined the Mojo suspension team.
All right.
And then through that, I then kind of talked to him about it, and then got chatting with Chris Porter, and then actually joined that team with him. So we both rode for Mojo suspension that next year and had bikes and a bit of expenses for the year.
Okay.
And that was probably one of my best race seasons, actually.
Do you think that's because the pressure's off a little bit more you're a bit more privateer-y, a bit more scoff your own back?
Yeah, and it was just really fun working with the team. We had Dan Stanbridge on the team as well, who was really sound. Polish Pete, who was the mechanic.
Yeah, Polish racing now, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really good fun. And had a few good results that year. Won the Elite British Downhill Series, and had a few really good World Cup results. I think that was my the one that I was. Where did I finish? I can't remember now if it was that year or not. Oh, yeah, that was the skin suit year, wasn't it?
Yes, I was going to mention that, right? We've got a few mutual friends. So I spoke to my buddy Joe Bowman last night, actually.
Joe Bowman.
Yeah, and Joe was like, ask him about the skin suit. You've got to ask about the skin suit.
You can't not talk about it.
No.
I love it. I love that I did that and that happened. At the time, oh god, I was so self-conscious. Being really tall, I always found that I'd always try and I don't know if it made me quite shy because I'd always stand out so much.
Okay.
So I think if you're really tall, either you own it and you are just you stand out as much as you can, or you kind of shy away from it. And I've always been quite shy, so being in this flipping black shiny
cat suit,
I was just oh no, this is horrific. I'm so self-conscious, and at this point I'm still, I think I'm second year senior, so I'm still looking at all these other World Cup riders as my heroes and everything, and I'm what are they going to think of me? Are they going to hate me because I'm doing this? And wow, really self-conscious about it. But I felt like what Chris Porter was trying to do was the right thing. I just wasn't happy that it was me that was doing it.
So what was the sort of the thought behind it? Was it obviously a performance gain, or? Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, in his eyes, it's a sport. You try and go as fast as possible. End of. Yeah. That is it. So aerodynamics was just an untapped kind of part of the whole process. And it's why would you spend all this money on a team, on bikes, tuning suspension, testing and everything, to not then do something with aerodynamics to go faster? So he did that, and it was a ski suit. So the stuff that they would use at downhill skiing. So it was a unpermeable material, so that the air wouldn't go through it. The air would just slip over the top of it. Wow.
But then also, because it was a ski suit material, it was fleece lined, so it was like thermal.
Wow. So you were lighter as well when you got to the bottom.
That World Cup was one of the hottest sport whirling World Cups there's been. I think it was I don't think it was over 30 degrees, but it was pretty hot. So it was black, absorbing the sun, thermal, and like by the end of a run, I was like flipping. I was done. I was boiled. So hot, and you'd have to like peel yourself out of it as well. It was grim.
Jeez.
But it was so cool to ride in. Like once you got over the self-conscious aspect, it was insane. You felt like you were like slicing through the air.
Really?
Like,
you could actually physically feel it working then?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was insane. It was like your brakes had always been rubbing, and then suddenly someone had just set them up so they weren't rubbing, and it was like you were accelerating. It was wild. And I remember the first run I did in it, the first major turn I went over the top of, because I just came into it so much faster, missed my braking point, and went straight over the top of the berm.
Really? Like that? Wow, that much faster. That's incredible. Like I'd never have guessed it'd make that much of a difference. Yeah. So the band, are they banned now or not?
Yeah.
They are banned. The fashion police were like, this is done, dude.
Yeah, it took one look and they're like, nah, I'm not having that. So, I understand why that happened, because I looked so awful. This is not the image that we need for downhill. And that's kind of fair enough. But I feel like it could have been made to look good. But it needed a bit of time and development to really look good. But yeah, I'm pleased I was part of that story.
Yeah, exactly. It's something to look back on, right? People will always remember that.
Mm-hmm.
It's, like I say, it's the first thing that Joey mentioned yesterday. Was like asking about the skin suit. First thing, you got to do it. It's got to come up.
Straight in.
Yeah, first thing. Sorry.
Annoyingly, I wish I still had it, because I think that'd be an amazing thing to bust out like every now and then. Like it was like a fun race.
It'd make a good YouTube video, right? Like test it.
Good. Yeah.
Oh man, where did it go? Did it just get burnt?
It actually, they didn't fit right.
Right.
So the legs were perfect. They were nice, fitted good. But I think I'm a bit of a weird body shape, obviously, being freakishly tall and quite skinny.
How tall are you?
6'7".
Oh yeah, wow.
Yeah. So the top half was really kind of wrinkled and crinkly, like got loads of folds in it because it didn't quite fit right. So I got sent back for tailoring, make it even tighter. Okay. And then the ban came in while that was happening. Right. So I don't know where they are. I don't know if Chris has got them stashed away in a safe somewhere. But
Chris, if you're listening,
yeah,
dig it out.
Get out.
Dig it out. It needs to be a video.
But that was it. And I think I remember having a bad run on my race run, and still getting 8th, but I feel like I would have been in the mid-20s, because I felt like I was going fast enough to top 10 at that race, but the skin suit was about 5-ish seconds quicker.
Was it? And
I made some big mistakes that I felt lost me about 5 seconds. So I feel like I would have been about there anyway, but it was definitely a big advantage having it on. Wow. Huge.
Wow. That's interesting. I like that. That's a good story, man. Really, really good story. So, career highlight from your racing career. Do you have something that you always look back on? Not that you're retired or anything like that. I'm not trying to end your career for you.
I feel like athletes always look back on their what ifs. For me, I always think about what could have been. I guess if you've succeeded at the level you want to succeed at, you probably look back on your highlight. But I feel like I didn't quite get to where I want to be, so I always look back on where I almost did.
Yeah, okay.
So for me, I look back at the year I was on the MTB Cut team. So that's Stu Thompson's Cut Media.
Yeah.
He ran a mountain bike team, and that was what I was on after Mojo Suspension. And one season, I think it was the 2011, where we were on the prototype linkage orange bike. I remember coming down, and I was in 7th coming into the motorway at Fort William, right at the bottom. And then I damaged my chain device that morning on a rock, and my chain jammed on the motorway. And I couldn't pedal. was absolutely hanging. I was like trying to pump the bike, and then I had a stupid, like really tired wobble at the bottom of the motorway, and ended up going off the track and losing all my speed and momentum.
Right.
And then finished like 17th. I was like, there we go. That would have been a top 10. And then the race after that in Maribor, Slovenia, it was really wet, and I remember crashing head on into a tree, and then got down, and I was 2 seconds off the podium, and finished like 15th. And I was like, if I had not screwed up those 2 races, I feel like I'd still be racing now.
Really?
So that was my kind of what if moment.
What year was that again then? Sorry.
I think it was 2011.
Was it?
I'll be honest, my memories in terms of dates is bad.
Okay.
But I think it was about then.
So,
But in terms,
go on. Sorry.
I think favorite result was probably La Bresse when I got 10th there, which is kind of topical given we're going to La Bresse this next week.
Yeah. Happy memories.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to going back there. It's not the same track, unfortunately, but I'm looking forward to going and seeing what they built.
Killer. So do you think then a lot of these sort of like little wobbles along your career and stuff sort of got you to where you are now in a way? Was there like an ultimate thing which made you just stop racing?
It was 2012 or 13, I think it was. I remember thinking, right, this is it. I need to train. I need to focus. I need to do everything possible to be able to succeed the following year, because I'd had those close calls that we just talked about, and I was like, I can do this. So got a good training regime from Scottish Cycling and Chris Ball, and worked on that through the winter while working. Had a pretty nice job making sandwiches in a sandwich factory. So from 6 a.m. till midday, I'll be making those chicken salads and ham mustards, and then rest of the day from midday on, I'd go to the gym or go out cross country riding and do training, and work proper hard that winter. Could see I was making good progress, like in terms of strength and able to push harder. And then came into the first race of the season, and I remember on my race run, I could barely make it down for a full race run without fatiguing.
Right.
And like was getting major arm pump, like felt like I could ride my bike fast, but only for a short amount of time. And then that was just like the start of a right struggle for that year.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I burnt myself out in the winter.
Overtrained,
and then,
maybe.
Yeah, overtrained.
Yeah.
And then through the season, I was just struggling. And I actually found a bit of pace near the end of the season, but I was just like, I feel like I've done everything I can and it's not working, and got really annoyed and just wasn't enjoying the racing that year. And pretty much I was just like, well, if I'm not enjoying it, then what is the point in doing it? Because that is why we do it.
Yeah.
You do it because you love it. So
yeah.
I wasn't loving it. So that's why I decided to kind of have a break.
Right. And financially, without going too deep into it, like how were you doing as that at that sort of time, been that sort of rider with those sort of results? Are you earning enough money to live, or are you like scraping on by just to do what you supposedly love?
Well, that was earn money through the winter, blow it all through the summer.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah. Like I've never earned money from racing ever. The most I had was bikes and expenses, which was cool. But I feel like my major downfall in terms of making money through racing was that I was absolutely crap at talking to people and marketing myself.
Really? That's surprising, man. Especially, obviously, what you're doing now.
Well, that's almost why that's how I got started into doing the videos, because I was like, I need to do more. Because I suck at talking to people. Like, I don't know. I wouldn't call myself a social person, which I know on the videos it doesn't seem that way. I actually find if you talk to a lot of people who do the YouTube videos, quite a lot of them are socially awkward, because it's much easier to talk to a camera than it is to a person.
It's, again, a bit of a running theme, because I had Ali Clarkson on the podcast a little while ago.
I was just thinking of him.
Yeah, and Ali had obviously the same sort of struggles as regards to being really shy and reserved, and had next to no self-confidence, so started making YouTube videos, and now he's like a different person, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know him before, but I know him quite well now, and it's just like the nicest dude. You'd have never guessed that he had that personality trait.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know it's definitely a running theme with a lot of people I know in sports, that you base your kind of confidence around what you're good at as well. So like when you're riding well, I think you're a lot more confident in yourself. And if you have seasons when you're not riding well, you're not as confident. There's definitely your self-worth is based on kind of how you're succeeding at your passions. So no, it's something that I think I sucked at pretty much through the period of my racing career where I needed to really not suck at it.
Yeah.
So,
and obviously at that time there wasn't as much, or if any, social media and stuff. So what sort of aspects did you have to do to get a ride then? Was it a case of networking in the pits? And
yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it was literally a physical thing. Yeah. There was no email as such, you know. Yeah. So and it was just something I hated doing, like trying to sell myself, like be like saying I am mint at this, good at that, I can do this for you, and I was like, oh, I don't. It's so true. It is so true, because obviously we've both sort of lived through that period of not having that, right? Like, and
one of the themes actually was back in the day there was a lot of Scottish riders who were mint but didn't get big rides because of like all the magazines and kind of things which were your only form of marketing were based down south.
Yeah.
So it was hard to link up with them to promote any sponsors. So I remember, I think Rory Cunningham was probably a good example of it. For years he didn't get a deal until internet became kind of more prevalent and you could promote your sponsors and things much easier from kind of anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Isn't it crazy to look how it's just totally flipped the script on the whole thing? It's crazy. It's still like mind blowing. I know, like we're kind of lucky though to have had a bit of that, and now you've got this. It's kind of like a novelty that you've got, you know, social media and email and all that sort of stuff, and YouTube. It is a novelty, but like I've said before on this podcast, like many a time, I'm still very much on the fence with the whole thing. Like I like to dip in and out of social media, and like
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I don't want it to control me, and I don't, you know, I don't want to get anxiety when my phone starts going flat and all that sort of weird shit that comes along with it, right? It's not normal. Yeah. Do you think it's easier now then to make a living from mountain biking?
I think it's probably still just as hard, but there's more opportunities. Like you still have to work as hard, but maybe it's easier for personality types like myself, maybe.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it was probably just as easy to do, but you needed to be a specific type of person to be able to do it. So it's I think it's opened up more opportunities for other people.
Right. And you've had jobs. You've had normal jobs, right? Like you worked in the sandwich factory and stuff. So when you did ultimately make that decision to stop racing, did you already have a bit of a roadmap as to what you wanted to do, or did you just think, I'm done with it, maybe there's something else I can do, like making sandwiches or something? Not that there's anything wrong with making sandwiches. I'm sure it's a lovely job.
I got all the free sandwiches I wanted, so that was a good job.
Dude, perfect. You know what's not to love about that?
No, when I kind of decided, it was kind of like a light switch in my head that I was going to go, nah, I'm not going to take racing as seriously. I'd already decided I was going to start up the SAXX Skills coaching business.
Yeah.
So that was my plan. And actually, as that season was winding down, I was already starting to get my qualifications for doing that. So kind of figured I would do that, as well as I did a bit of work. My dad owns a shop in Oban, and he does a lot of website stuff. So I'd try and do like a little bit of online kind of inventory stuff for his shop, get a bit of money from that, do a bit of coaching because it was quite quiet to begin with, and just kind of like lots of little odd jobs until the kind of coaching picked up.
Okay. So maybe you hit coaching at the right time as well, just as like trail bikes started to hit a little bit more and stuff like that. Do you think, or were you just focusing on downhill? Or
I kind of started off just focusing on downhill. Kind of focused on coaching racers because that's like that style of coaching is what I really enjoyed. It's like trying to go fast. So like when I would get like a general person just looking for some basic skills, I would find myself starting to talk about lines and like carrying speed, and they were like, "I just want to get down this safely." I was like, "Oh yeah, sorry, yeah." So yeah, racing was kind of my main focus in coaching, and then I realised I was being a bit silly, and there was a whole market of other people there.
Yeah.
So I kind of branched out. Definitely for the first few years, I was branched out to just focus on everyone. But then now that I've gotten busier, I feel like it's come back into just focusing on the racers.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I really enjoy.
Right.
And now I'm busy enough that just racers can kind of sustain me.
I mean, obviously, when we were trying to throw down a date and time for this thing, I looked at your calendar and I was like, well, this ain't going to happen for a few months, so let's forget it.
I mean, but this is the first year it's been like that.
Is it really?
Because in the past, because I wasn't doing the World Cup stuff, I would just divide my time between racing and coaching. And I would say, on average, over last year, if you include the winter, which isn't as busy, it was like 3 days a week I would average with the coaching.
Right.
But then this year, it's just been like insane. Through the summer, I feel like it's been 5 days a week for as long as I can remember, and then every weekend or other weekend I'm racing or away at the World Cups. So
busy dude. Embrace it, man. Embrace it. You know, it's good to be busy. It is. Obviously, you still have to figure out that whole work-life balance, but I think when you work within the mountain bike industry, that's kind of out the window 90% of the time anyway.
Yeah.
I'm definitely guilty of just been all work and no play for the last sort of 4 years, mate, if I'm honest with you. But
that's a tough one.
It is.
Like, if you've got a family at home that you've got to divide time between.
There's no family here. There's a dog, 3 chickens, and a girlfriend. Yeah. And a horse as well. We have a horse.
That's a good family.
Yeah. So it's just all animals, man. It's a fucking it's crazy. It's just a farm, basically, a terraced house farm.
Yeah.
It's nuts. But I'm lucky, you know, me and my girlfriend, we bought a place about a year or so ago now, so we live together, because before we were living separately, I was back at my parents, because after starting the company, it was hard work, basically, to be honest. It didn't have much disposable income to be buying houses and stuff, so we only just sort of moved in together, which has made life way simpler, because now you're coming home to one spot, and obviously I'm on the road a lot with my job. With the Hook It stuff, I look after all the sales in the UK, so I travel the entire UK seeing bike shops and chatting about bikes every day. So I spend a lot of time on the road. It's nice just to come back to one spot, basically, and then usually just come in this little office/studio and then record podcasts and go to bed. That's pretty much how it works, mate. It's looks good. Are you doing some renovations there? I'm seeing some chipboard in the background. That's actually is my girlfriend's an artist, so she's going to be doing a painting on that. You can see over here. I know people who are listening can't. There's a big tiger on the wall, and flipping heck. Yeah, our house is just like full of paintings and stuff. It's pretty crazy. So, for the viewers, that was quite good, actually. There'll be a link in the description to buy signed paintings. Embrace the side hustle. So that's kind of how it works here, but it definitely takes up a lot of time. And I know the podcast, for example, this thing's taking up a lot more time than I ever expected. It's taken off. I'm probably in, and we'll get around to the video stuff, but I'm probably in quite a similar situation to you in some ways, that I never expected it to be where this is. And the bigger it gets, the more time it takes up, and the more it costs as well, to be honest with you, to run it. But it's sort of that, I don't know, I'm just letting it do its thing now, to be honest with you. I've sort of stopped trying to hold it back and be in control, and now I'm just hanging off the back of it, to be honest. Yeah, no, that's the best way. Just isn't it? Let it flow. And I found that, well, we'll get on to the videos you're going to say, but I've just been kind of going where the flow takes me. Like, nothing is planned. Really?
Like it looks like it's all organized, but it's not. It's just like, oh yeah, that seems interesting, or oh, people like that, and it's just
like that movie where he never says no. Just like, yeah, do it, go
yes,
for it.
Man.
Yes, man, that's the one.
Yeah.
Crazy. So, but the coaching seems to be going really well, and that's rad. Obviously, that's your main sort of.
Yeah, that is the job. That is the official source of income, and it's really good that that's got to the point now that, like, I want to keep coaching, but I feel like the business has more customers than I can handle while still doing everything else.
Is it just yourself as well, or do you outsource?
Yeah, no, right. It's just me, and occasionally, if I get big groups, I'll outsource some like freelance guys in. But I want to get someone full time to kind of work for the business. So yeah, if anyone's out there.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We've got some listeners.
To apply.
That's for sure. There's some listeners.
I'm on the hunt.
Yeah, got to be Scottish based, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so I really enjoy that, and like I know when I started it, you're probably the same. You kind of don't know if you're going to enjoy it. You don't know if it's going to be good. But I really like teaching. It's so rewarding, like having someone that just doesn't get it, you explain it, they try it, and then they just realize kind of what you're on about, and it just clicks, and it's so cool.
That's sick.
Like, yeah, really good fun, and I get to be outside,
and
I get to ride bikes, and the weather's quite often minging, but it doesn't even matter, it's still great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Obviously, it's never the best weather in Scotland, but yeah, you run all season as well. You all the way through.
Yeah, all the way through. Pretty much anytime I'm not busy, I'm available for coaching. The business is marked as available, so yeah, I'm not fussy.
Awesome. No, it's good, man. It's good to see it's going well, and obviously, like we said, it's the rise of enduro is going to help you a little bit. People buying mountain bikes. Mountain biking in general seems to be in a pretty good space at the minute, which is really good. There's a lot of people buying bikes, that's for sure. You know. Coaching is something that often gets overlooked, I think, especially when you just grow up around it. I never even really thought about it, but there's a lot of coaching companies out there that are all doing pretty good. Like, they've all got clients and they're not really struggling. So,
it just makes sense. Yeah. Like, it's the thing that's often referred to. Any other sports you do, if you're wanting to, do it properly, you always get a coach. Like away on a skiing holiday, I'll get a guide or a coach for the day, teaches a few things.
Yeah, it's true.
It's getting that way for biking. I think it's even more relevant because of the slightly higher chance of injury that is associated with it. Because dirt and rock's a lot harder than snow.
Yes.
But, yeah, I think it's good.
I think as well when you spend, because bikes aren't cheap, you spend quite a lot of money on the equipment. You kind of want to know you're doing it right and safely as well.
Yeah, true.
And what sort of, obviously you said you're working a lot with racers as well, but what sort of other clients do you get? Is it sort of like your middle-aged bloke who's just bought a bike, or is it young rippers or anything?
It's a good mix. I find I've got two demographics that are the most common. It's the kind of young kids who are kind of like just getting into it, and maybe parents are thinking they're going to start racing, and they're like, yeah, we'll get you some training. So I get lots of them through parents and racers, and also bike clubs as well, with a lot of kids.
Okay.
So do a lot of that, and then like you said, the middle-aged, disposable income, decent bikes, bit of spare time, and just want to sharpen the skills and improve.
Yeah.
And then kind of in the middle, the kind of you would say the kind of peak racing ages. It's less, actually, a lot less, because a lot of people who race in that age bracket tend to think they know what they're doing.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
But I do get a few from that age bracket, and that's actually probably the people I like to work with the most.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm interested in. Going really fast.
That's cool. Real cool, man. No, I like what you're doing. It's good. It sounds like you've got a good setup as well, that you're sort of doing what you enjoy, which is, if you can set your life up like that, I think you're definitely winning. There's a lot of people that are doing dead-end jobs, right, that they don't enjoy doing, and without getting too deep, life's too short for that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You're not here for long, so
very true.
Do what you enjoy doing. So do you think the YouTube stuff as well has really helped grow the sort of like the coaching business? Yeah,
definitely. I don't push it like heavily in my videos. I kind of feel like they're kind of separate things, but bits and pieces are kind of mentioned in them.
Yeah, I noticed like you'd sponsored one of them with your company, which is that's a really good idea, right?
Well, that was actually a test to kind of see how it went down, because I'd actually sourced some actual external sponsors. So my business obviously didn't actually sponsor it. But I thought I'd put it in at the start, nice bit of promo, and we'll see if people are like, oh, the adverts are annoying, don't do that. And no one really said that, so the test was successful. Yeah, it definitely has, because I think on a couple of my videos have been to do with coaching. Like I've done like some like tip videos, and on one of them I was actually filming with a friend as I was coaching him, so it was like showing what I do as a day job. So yeah, through that I've had quite a lot of business. So yeah, definitely they both kind of help each other.
That's cool. Interesting. So let's get into the meat and bones of this stuff, because this is like what's super interesting to me is obviously starting the YouTube channel. You said before, it was really interesting that you're obviously quite a reserved person, quite shy usually, but doing this has probably brought you out your shell and given you quite a lot more confidence. But so was that the reason you initially started doing this, or were you looking at what someone else was doing and thought, I want to do something similar to that?
Okay, so a little bit of both.
Okay.
And some other things.
Let's do it. I want to know, man. Deep dive me. I want to go deep. This stuff's so interesting.
My dad is actually quite keen on a bit of video making. When I was racing, he would often film at the races, because he'd be like, well, what else am I supposed to do? Just sit around.
Yeah.
So he would film, and he actually made a few edits and kind of put them up on, I don't even know what website. I think he just hosted them on like mountain biking forums. Like You'd host them on the website, share them before like YouTube and stuff like that. So he had a decent like little handy camera with tapes for recording onto. So I used to steal that and go out and film my mates, and we'd get like some video clips and stuff. Never to share. We would just go back, put them in the camera, plug it into the TV, and just watch them, because it's fun watching yourself. If you so yeah, we would do that. And I remember like setting out like fence posts in the yard and then riding over them and filming it to like film the suspension working and stuff like that, just like that things. So I'd always been used to and kind of like liked playing with cameras. And then when I was racing and GoPros and that came about, like I would do head cams and things like that, classic things. And then I think the SDA series were wanting to try and kind of promote the races a bit more. And I was like, well, I can do some videos for you if you want, just with a GoPro, I'll just film stuff, make some quick edits and help promote the races. And then I started doing that, and they went down quite well. And it was just like few clips, nothing major, like a really rough edit, probably like an awful copyright-free song I'd found on YouTube, classic things. And these things were going quite well. And while I was doing that, I noticed my girlfriend was watching these videos on YouTube, and I'd recognize it was like the same person each time. It'd just be someone just sitting there just talking about their day. And I was like, wow, what is this? What are you watching? And it's like, oh, it's just these girls I follow that do vlogs. And I was like, what the heck is a vlog? What is this? And I was like, oh, well, it's just really interesting. You get to kind of see what someone else is doing in their life, and it's just like, it's almost like a reality TV thing. I was like, all right. And how often do they do this? And it's like, well, every day. I was like, well, you watch this every day? And I was like, she was like, yeah.
What? Had you not noticed before? Was she sliding off to watch it in secret?
I just didn't really pay attention to what she was really watching. Like, and then I was like, how many views are these getting? And they're like, hundreds of thousands. This is their job. I was like, making videos on YouTube can be, you can make money. I was like, okay, right. I think I need to actually start thinking about this, because that sounds like an easy way to make money. But obviously it's not.
No.
Not in the slightest. I've been thinking about how, in terms of sponsorship, what else I can kind of offer teams, or not teams, but like sponsors. Video content is like the best thing. I was like, right, I need to incorporate this kind of like new video style vlog YouTube kind of thing, and use it to help increase my kind of marketability. So it was like a little bit of a business decision, and then I just started getting into it. Started filming myself, feeling like an absolute twat talking to a camera, and started off. I think the first one I did was a race vlog where I was at a Scottish Enduro race, and I just filmed myself with my GoPro as I was going around talking about what was happening, telling bad jokes, bit of kind of GoPro footage, and then kind of just put it out and asked what people thought, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's really interesting. That's really cool." I was like, "Right, mint. I need to do more of this." Yeah.
Wow.
So that's kind of how it properly started.
Yeah.
And that was a year and a half ago, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
It was.
You've got okay. Yeah, I can't remember. Look, I did obviously scroll through your YouTube channel over the last sort of few days. I thought they were a lot older than that actually, but
I've got ones that go way back.
Yeah, but then you restarted almost as well.
It's when I was like, right, I'm going to, do things properly.
Yeah.
And that's. I'm just having a wee look. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Let's have a look. Let's figure it out. Because
I'm not sure.
One of the questions I had was like, when did you start doing it? And yeah, like you say, some of the SDA stuff is maybe the old stuff that I've seen. That's GoPro footage and stuff like that.
Well, it says 1 year ago, but YouTube's a bit vague in its kind of date range. Right. 18th of October, 2016.
Right.
So yeah, year and a half.
Yeah.
So, aye.
Wow.
I intend to keep on cracking on with it anyway. But
so you said you took a bit of inspiration from, I don't know, whoever it was, your girlfriend. Who was it that she was watching? Do you know?
Oh, that's a good question. I do know.
Okay.
I can picture her, but it was she got into it because I think she'd done a YouTube search for how to dye your hair or how to dye your hair a certain color, and it was a girl who does vlogs was doing that. And then she watched one of our other videos, and then ended up going down the deep, dark tunnel of vlogs.
I've only recently found some as well, and I spoke about this a little bit as well, I found Jon Olsen's stuff. I got recommended to watch some of that, and it is really good, to be fair. It's super well made, but it's a bit, look at my life, how good I am, you're sat at home, your life's pretty shit compared to this. And I don't like that aspect of it. And obviously that's not something you're doing, but I'm just saying that there's definitely like a fine line of showing just your highlights of your life. I mean, no doubt Jon Olsen's going to have a few days where he's a bit down in the dumps and don't want to talk to people, but all you see online is, buying expensive cars and nice houses and surfing,
Well, he's just following what people watch.
Yes.
That's what people click on. Yeah. So, yeah.
So is there anyone else that you take inspiration from? I mean, there's obviously a few people doing stuff like this, like what you're doing already. I mean, not with the track stuff at World Cups, but, you got local... Scotty will be quite local to you, right? Scotty Lachlan be quite local. He's doing some stuff. And obviously Ali, it seems like a thing in Scotland, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't know who, in terms of the mountain biking, who kind of was the first people to do it. I can't even remember. But I only started looking when I started.
Right.
And I didn't really know of anyone. I've not actually looked into it. There might be people that have been doing it for ages. But yeah, it does seem like a bit of a Scottish bias.
So outside of the bike industry then, is there anything that you still like watching or take inspiration from?
Yeah, I do. I follow quite a lot of filming and photography guys because I'm quite into the kind of technical aspect of it, like cameras and kind of like how to shoot stuff. And I feel I'd really like to be better at filming and better at kind of making the videos. It's something I feel I'm actually not very good at. I don't think I film stuff nice. I don't think I make the most interesting videos, but I think what I'm doing is quite interesting. So it's good. But yeah, I'm trying to improve. So I follow I think the classics like Peter McKinnon. It's quite a good one. It's a guy who just does loads of camera kind of set up things called DSLR Video Shooter. He's quite good. And then the classic one I think everyone's probably seen is the Casey Neistat guy. Yeah. Because a lot of his stuff to do with like motivation, work ethic and stuff like that I find really interesting, and kind of how he edits. is also really interesting as well. Just
I like that guy as well.
Not too polished. It's just like get it done, you know, get the story across kind of thing. So yeah, I like that. But I find I don't have enough time to watch all the videos I want to watch. So
I know the feeling, mate. There's a lot of content out there these days, you know, and I mean, now's a good time, actually. I know we're going to put this episode out in a few days, but you've got, like, downhill races happening one weekend, then you've got Crankworx, there's an EWS. Like, holy shit, you got to try and keep up with it all just so you kind of know what you're talking about. It's so much stuff.
It's wild. Actually, no, just because I don't want to miss anyone out, I just remember there's a few other kind of biking guys that I follow and watch. The classic big one would be Skills with Phil. He's done so many good videos, like kind of coaching videos, and he's really interesting dude. And Seth Bike Hacks, the classic. Just learned quite a lot from watching their videos as well about how to only kind of film what's necessary, and kind of like a lot of the voiceover stuff they did, I kind of learned a lot from about how to kind of keep the story going with a bit of dialogue. But those would be my main ones I think I watch.
Okay. And so before picking up a camera then and doing all that stuff, you've not had any training in it other than your dad been involved a little bit? You've not... Yeah, I mean, again, one thing like Scotty was saying actually, that one of the biggest things he learned when he worked at GMBN was that like he learned how to talk to a camera. Yeah. But you've never had that. You just figured it out. Because you're good at it, man. Like, I'll give you props. You're bloody good at doing it, though.
That's good to know. Pretty much the only thing I took from anyone was I heard someone once say, just talk to it like you're talking to a mate and you're trying to describe what's going on. So it's like, imagine doing a Skype chat and maybe you're on holiday and you just want to tell them what's going on your holiday. Yeah. So it's just like, just talk away. And the best thing is that I can edit it when I screw it up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
It's down to you what goes out, right? Like, I like to keep this pretty raw. So if I say something dumb, it just stays in and I just take the backlash when it's out. But that's good. Again, it's weird, man. Again, I think we've been through quite similar sort of experiences. You know, I've put a lot of content out now, and it's sometimes quite scary that you think there's, God, I don't know, what is the 50-odd episodes? And then there's all the other stuff as well. There's hundreds of hours of talking. Yeah. That
just you talking away.
Yeah, it's just trippy. It's, you know, when you think about it and, you know, you put stuff out there and you don't really think that someone might mention a video a year down the line. Or, you know, I've just listened to episode 4 and you're like, what? Like, that's great. That's so long ago. I kind of forgot it even happened.
Are you embarrassed about any of the older ones? Like, were you like, oh, sound quality's awful, or why did I say that?
It's definitely been a big learning curve, mate, to be honest. A huge learning curve. Especially, it was more, like I said to you before, about like learning just with podcasts. What I love about podcasts, because I listen to podcasts constantly when I'm driving, and I drive every day. Yeah, is I like just feeling involved in a conversation, and I like that it goes anywhere. You never know where it's going. It's not structured. It's just whatever. So learning to sort of be able to settle into it a little bit more and just sort of trust the process of just having a chat. That's what I enjoy. Like, I love long form conversation anyway. You know, I think it's an art that's kind of got lost within texting and emailing and you know what I mean? Like quick Instagram stuff. So I enjoy listening to a long form conversation, and, you know, 50% of it might be bullshit and you don't care about, but there might be a few little, it's true though, right? There might be some little like golden nuggets of information where you're like, that's interesting. Like, I want to look into that more, or I want to use that in my life. And, you know, it might just inspire you a little bit. That's what I enjoy about doing this thing. But it's been a big learning curve, learning how to just settle into it and be comfortable just talking. I mean, I always use this example without baffling on too much, is I had Lucas Shaw on the podcast, and this is around like episode maybe like 10 or something like that. Yeah. And at the time, being totally honest, I didn't really know much about Luca. So I did a bunch of research, wrote it all down on a piece of paper. And after the first 10 minutes, we'd blown through the whole lot. And I was like, shit, like, now what? Like, what the hell? I want to try and fill this out for another like hour at least. And it was like just a huge learning process, you know, like being able to just chill and just chat. You know, you can't know everything about people. You can't, you know, you literally can't know everything about everybody. And there's going to be subjects you don't know about. There's going to be races you didn't know about. You know, it's just a natural thing, I think. So that's been my biggest sort of thing. But have you had any like major lessons in what you've been doing?
I stress over things too much. Yeah.
Right.
Like one of the big issues I've had with doing the World Cup videos, and I might be jumping ahead a wee bit here, but is I find if I have 4 hours, I'll make a video in 4 hours. And if I have 12 hours, I'll take 12 hours. And it's
the laziness coming back a little bit.
Well, no. It's not the laziness. It's that I'll try and do more.
Okay.
So I'll try and add more things in and more things. I'm always, because I feel like none of the videos I've done at the World Cups I'm happy with. Because I feel like I want more time to do more with them, make them clear, or have enough information so everything makes sense. I feel like I've got to miss out something. Oh, I didn't get a shot that makes this make sense, and then I get so annoyed. But then I got to get it out.
That's the thing. Is people expect it now too, right? Like, it's your stuff, especially at the World Cup. It's very time sensitive. It's like it's this World Cup. People want to see it before the race, so you've got to be super on it. Yeah.
And
added pressure.
Super tough to try and make myself not stress about it. Just people are happy with, like some insightful information. It doesn't need to be like super, super detailed. Doesn't need to be like amazingly well produced, and try to just do enough that I feel it's covered everything I want to cover.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's something I'm getting better at. Trying to be more organized as well. Just go, right, what do I want to film today, rather than go up the hill and film just absolutely everything.
Okay.
And then I've got like 3 hours of footage that I've got to try and sift through and try and make a cohesive video out of. So
that's probably not the easiest way of doing it.
being organized. And like, I remember when I was looking into like, you do your classic, how do you make a good video? Like Google search, and people are like, you got to plan it out. You got to know what you want to do. You know the shots you want to get. And that's something I really struggle with. Like, I think I'm not an imaginative person, or like quite a creative person. Like, I feel like I don't know what I'm going to make until I've got the footage. And then I go, oh yeah, that looks quite cool. And then I'll kind of make the video according to what I've got.
Right.
But trying to think ahead about what I want to do, I find really challenging. And that's definitely a weak point of mine that I'm trying to work on. And I feel the more videos I do, the more I kind of know what I need to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So you're almost working out the formula as well for the whole thing. So
yeah.
And is that the same with the vlog sort of stuff as well? Have you figured out a bit of a formula? This is what will make a good video, because some of your stuff has got astronomical views on it. You know, I think your biggest one's like 250,000 views. Like that's not to be sniffed at.
That's clickbait.
Do you think?
Yeah, well, it's the new Hightower LT just when it was coming out.
Okay.
I was one of the first ones to build one up, and it's just like, yep, bang on. That's going to get some.
But it's not. It's not, because it is okay. But it's not got like one of those annoying clickbait titles like, look what happens when I put my, I don't know, build it. I don't know.
You'll never believe what happened.
Yeah, exactly. It's not one of those, right? Like,
no, but I feel like I find that video to be a little kind of cheap in that I knew it would get lots of views, and I don't know. It just feels it's not kind of the kind of videos that I really want to do. I don't find it as interesting, but I knew it would be worthwhile doing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But what made it get those views, though? Obviously, put it on YouTube, but how do people...
Because it gets recommended.
Is that what it is?
For it to go way up above your kind of subscriber base, it's because people have been looking at bike builds or something like that, or they've just searched for information about the Santa Cruz Hightower, and then my videos come up as a recommended. And then,
snowball effect almost.
Snowball, yeah. I actually didn't know how many views it had until a couple of days ago, because on your upload kind of screen, it only shows you the 3 most recent videos, And generally speaking, after a couple of weeks, I kind of stopped looking at the older videos.
Yep.
And then I got a comment on it, and I went in to answer the comment, and then just saw the view count on it. I was like, what? When did that happen?
That's good. That's good though. So, that's cool.
Yeah.
Again, similar with this. Like, I often go back and Danny McCaskill was on here a while back, and the views the downloads just blow me away every time I look at it. It's always gone up like by another 10,000, and you're like, what the hell? Like, that's
the star power.
It's to an extent it definitely is that thing. Yeah, that's just, again, it's snowball effect, right? It just does its thing. So you're trying to stick away from clickbait stuff now, or what? Or you don't mind dipping your toe in every now and again to boost things?
Yeah, annoyingly, it is useful for boosting or getting more people who maybe wouldn't necessarily click on your videos to see your content, and then they might become a subscriber.
Yeah.
So it is worthwhile, but it really annoys me when every single video that people put out is like caps lock, 100 exclamation marks, and it's hard not to do that because it will get more people watching, but I'm trying to be a wee bit more genuine.
Did you get much blowback from the Ronnie Mac one?
Yeah, holy crap.
I've seen you put it in the comments like it's not the real Ronnie Mac.
It's my most downvoted video I put up, and it came about because a friend had a Ronnie Mac outfit for Halloween. Right. He made it all. He painted the helmet himself, the absolute awesome ribbon helmet, and it looked sick. And he was like, "Oh, could we do like a Goon video pretending to be Ronnie Mac?" I was like, "Yeah, that'd be well good. We should do that." Just thinking it's so innocent, it was going to be just like a bit of a laugh, and then it ended up getting shared on like Dirt Mag or something like that, or Pink Bike, and people just started laying into it like, what is it? This is awful. That's not the real Ronnie Mac. Like, it's like, how dare you? Like, people, they almost revere him as like I don't know, like some famous idol that you should
classic,
never. Cult. So you can't try and remake the Ron.
Did you see what he's doing the MX Destinations?
Yeah, but it's wild that Jimmy, was it Jimmy Ducois?
Yeah.
No, that's not his name.
Oh, no, it's Jimmy Albertson.
Albertson, yeah. Like, Ronnie Mac is thousands of times more famous than he is now. It's wild that, it's become such a big thing. But anyway, I really enjoyed making that video, and I really enjoy it. I think
it's hilarious.
But, it rubbed people the wrong way for sure. So I ended up going back in, changing the title to "This is not the real Ronnie Mac" in the description. This is just a tribute video, but still, to this, like yesterday, I just got a comment saying, "I can't say it," but
that was me.
It was like,
sorry about that.
What? This is not the real Ronnie Mac. You effing all sorts. Yeah.
Wow. But, all press is good.
Anyway,
press.
Yeah.
Water off a skin suit, mate.
That's it. Yeah, straight off.
Has the equipment you use then, has that changed much as this thing's grown?
Since I started doing it, like taking it seriously a year and a half ago, I've just done the same stuff. Like, I'm pretty big into researching. Like, I'm a bit of a tech head.
Yeah.
So I spent a month just researching kind of the best bang for your buck, and ended up buying a little Sony a6 300 mirrorless camera with a 18-105 lens for anyone that's interested, and a Rode Video Mic Micro, which is just a little small microphone. Okay. I've just been using that since. It does everything I need it to, nice and small and compact, didn't cost the world, and it's really good.
CATHROVISION.
Right.
This is obviously the cool shit right now. Like, it's a bit of a, I don't know, you seem to be on a bit of a rocket ship with it, dude.
No.
Did you expect this or what?
No. Well, I've got quite a few videos that I put out. Like, I did some onboard ones that were like Ben Cam, and I did another one which was like, I don't know, another name. I've had loads of like different like names for different videos, and then I was supposed to race the Port William World Cup last year, No, was it last year? Yeah, last year. And because I don't have UCI points, I had to apply for a jersey.
Yep.
Didn't get a jersey, and I was like, oh, that's really annoying. It's going to be a waste of a week now. What should I do? I was like, I'd started doing the vlogging stuff, so I was like, I'll go there. I'll make a vlog each day. I think people will find that really interesting. Why not? So I just turned up as a spectator and just started filming myself at the races. It was just like, just wanted to kind of show the viewer what was going on. So like, oh, here we go. People are going up for practice. This is B practice. This is the people who aren't in the top 80. Here's some Scottish riders. How are you finding it? And just talking about stuff. Like, oh, here's the track. It's pretty minging in these woods. People are crashing, filming people. I was just like, it's quite interesting. And then I got kind of bored. And then I was like, right, what else is really interesting? Oh, I could talk about how people are struggling with the track, why they're struggling, how you would ride it, and then kind of, I don't know, adding a bit of the coaching aspect to it.
Yeah.
And I was just doing that for a bit of fun, see how it went. And then people started to really like the technical kind of insight. I was like, oh, that's quite cool. Thought that's fair enough. I'll maybe do this again next year. We'll see how it goes. And then I got more and more views, and got shared on Dirt, and got more views. I was like, well, flipping heck, this is actually quite good. And then people afterwards were like, oh, are you going to go to any of the other World Cups? I was like, no. Why would I do that? I'm not going to spend all my money going to the World Cups just to make these videos. And then people were like, oh, you should. I would totally donate money for you to go. I was like, really?
Wow.
Okay. And then I looked into ways of funding.
Yeah.
It's kind of like viewer funded videos, and Patreon was the kind of first thing I'd seen. And I was like, well, I'll tell you what, I'll pitch it, put it up, put it to my viewers and see what they think. So I did, and then seemed like people were quite keen, and quickly got about, I think it was like $300 donated. And I'd worked out the cost of my flights, and I was going to sleep on a mate's floor, and I was told in the media room you get free food. And I was like, right, if I get lifts, sleep on floor, eat free food, I can do it on $300. So I was like, right, I shut down the donations at then, because I was like, I don't want to make money from this right now, because I didn't know what it was going to be like. And went there and did those videos, and then those videos like got on YouTube trending and stuff. So they were like on the UK YouTube homepage.
No way.
They were suggested videos. I was like, this is insane.
How do you see that? Do you see that on your sort of like upload screen and stuff then? That's where it's going?
You just get a little notification saying, congratulations, you're on trending. And it was wild. I think that was because I'd done with a video with, there's another guy who does videos called Mike Boyd. He does Learn Quick, where he learns new things. And I'd done a video with him. And I think the recommended videos, the trending videos, I think they're picked by people. So I think I was on their radar after doing a video with Mike Boyd. I think that's how I got on trending, because I think one of the office workers maybe just checked, saw I had a video was doing good, and then put it in.
Wow.
Because I've never had a video go trend.
Credit to that person if you're listening.
Yeah, credit to Mike. Thanks for that. Help me out. But yeah, anyway, they went down really well, and I was like, okay, well maybe there's a future to doing these videos. So went all in with the Patreon thing. Said if I want to do this at every World Cup, then I'm going to need to be able to make a living from it. So kind of set like a limit of kind of what I need to get to pay my bills, and just went on with that.
Wow.
This has been the first year doing it.
That's super interesting, especially because of the conversation we've just had about how you really struggle with like confidence. You hated pitching to people, and then a few years down the line, here you are making a video, asking people to donate money so you can go. Do you know what I mean? Like, how crazy is that?
But that's fine, because I don't have to talk to them in person.
Could you do it if you're on a stage and you had to physically ask them? To, really?
No chance. Well, actually, no. Maybe a stage isn't so bad, because a crowd isn't as bad, because it doesn't feel like you're like doing. I don't know. 1-to-1, I think, is harder, because it feels like that person is. I don't know. it's like almost like you're being judged more.
Yeah.
It's different. I think it definitely would have been harder.
It's obviously I really want to talk to you about the Patreon stuff because I find that really interesting. A lot of podcasts go on Patreon as well. So this thing, there's no financial incentive whatsoever with this podcast. It is purely for my fun. And sometimes that's a blessing. Sometimes it's a bit of a curse because I feel that you put in a lot. I mean, obviously it takes up a lot of time and stuff like that, but been approached as well by quite a lot of brands to sponsor it, but I've always shied away from it for some reason. I don't know. So was there any blowback initially from like the mountain bike community? Because I feel that there's a bit of a, what's the word? There's a bit of a sort of expectation that content is free because there's so much of it that's free, right? But obviously it costs money for you to go there, to get a hotel, to get your food, to buy the equipment, etc., etc. So was there much blowback?
A minimal amount. You get the few people who maybe don't look deeper than surface level and just kind of go, oh, another person begging for money on YouTube. And it's like, I'm not begging.
No.
It's if you like the videos and if you want to help, you can. Or you can just watch it for free. That's absolutely fine. So mostly positive. And I feel like if you're really open and honest about kind of what you're doing, where the money's going, and kind of you stay true to kind of what they're kind of contributing for, like, I think it's absolutely fine. And I'm still got full kind of creative control of everything. No one's kind of like external sponsors or anything haven't come in and said, oh, you need to do this and need to do that. And pretty much everyone who's donated on Patreon can suggest things. So if I feel like there's a good relationship with the people that are helping to fund it. It's almost like,
no, definitely. It kind of boosts engagement in a way
because
you feel more connected. And again, like we did something quite similar in a way. Like I got offered to go out to Crankworks and do podcasts for the guys for Crankworks basically, but hosted it on this channel. But they, Darren, who's the guy behind Crankworks, was really kind to put me up in a hotel. I just had to make my own way there. So I made some t-shirts and put it out to the listeners. I was like, look, if you buy a t-shirt, it's going to help fund buying new equipment and pay to go to Crankworks. And it's amazing to see that there is some loyalty out there and people are like engaged enough to go, yeah, I'll have a t-shirt. Like, cool.
Yeah. If people like what you're doing, they're happy to contribute. So it's really cool. I was definitely very surprised by how open people were to that kind of, I guess, format or way of kind of doing things. Because it's
one of the first people for sure to put it on Patreon.
I think quite a few mountain bike, the bigger ones, were already on it.
Right.
And I think it's actually quite common now. Okay. For anyone that's trying to do it seriously, I think most of them are on Patreon now. I think that's how I got put onto it. I'm sure, like one of the American guys, it was like Skills with Phil or Seth, who were already on Patreon, and that's how I found out about it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's working really good, and the people that have been donating seem quite happy with it as well. Yeah. So
it's cool what you do, man, when you let people submit a question, and that's rad. Like, that was really funny. I think I watched one last night, which was, I can't remember the athlete, Monster Energy guy, and you asked him about energy drink, and that was just genius. It was genius, absolute genius.
He was pretty diplomatic, wasn't he?
Yeah, definitely diplomatic. You were like, what's in your can then? It's so good.
And he gave two answers. There was an answer off camera. I think I mentioned that in the video as well. I was like, yeah, there's definitely ones that are full of dihydrogen monoxide. Yeah,
that's amazing. But obviously the Gwyn one got a little bit of heat as well because you asked him how much money he makes. Is that video still around, or did it get deleted? I couldn't find it, that's all.
So that one I had to take down due to getting media approval for this year.
Okay.
There was a whole hoo-ha at the start of this year because Fort William, I didn't have media approval. I was just a spectator filming. And I was on a mission, So I did. And then for Baldasoli, I applied for media approval, but for some reason they got confused and ended up giving me a photo bib, which is a yellow bib, rather than a filming bib, which is a blue one. So I don't know what happened with that. But then when I applied for 2018 this year, I submitted my videos as evidence of what I was putting out. And the UCI kind of rule enforcer had a look at them and went, no, we don't want to deal with people like you who clearly break the rules. You filmed with a photo bib when you shouldn't have, so you clearly knew what the rules were. And I was like, no, I didn't. I really didn't. I thought I was doing everything properly.
Yeah.
And then she was like, and you filmed race runs, and you filmed qualifying. And I was like, I didn't know you weren't allowed to. And so then I had to take all those videos down.
Yep.
And then kind of beg to get media approval. And then I remember going to that first World Cup, and I'd been told 3 minutes of riding footage maximum a day. That was like my main rule, and you're not allowed to film qualifying, race, or podiums. So the first day there's no riding other than Claudio's course preview.
Yep.
So I had a track walk, filmed his course preview, put it up, and then 10 minutes later I got an email saying, come back to the media office and hand in your bib, you've broken the rules.
No way.
And I was like, what? And then she came in and he was like, your video is over 3 minutes. And I was like really confused. Like, but he said it was 3 minutes of riding footage. There's not 3 minutes of riding footage. And then she said, and also Red Bull have decided not to put up Claudio's run, and you have put up stuff from his run. I was like, well, I didn't know that. I don't know any of these things. So anyway, it ended up smoothing things over with them. And then all year I was struggling with this 3 minute rule where they were telling me my videos had to be 3 minutes maximum. But then when I finally talked to someone from Red Bull, they were like, no, it's fine. You just 3 minutes of riding footage, and then the videos can be as long as they want. So there was just a bit of miscommunication there and a lot of stress and, annoying. But I feel like things are settled down now. I think I know.
Yeah, for sure. So are you paying that, is it €800 or something then?
No, that's only for World Champs.
Oh, is it? Okay.
World Champs is €800,
right.
And then I pay purely a deposit on my the bib that you get each race.
Yeah.
Filming there once you're approved is free.
Okay.
You just have to follow their media rules.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not too bad.
Well, the videos obviously are going down a storm. They seem to have really taken off this year, and it's amazing to sort of watch what's happening for you, dude. It's insane. Super stoked.
It's weird. I thought it was going to be such a small viewership.
Really? Did you have honestly then no idea this would happen? Because
the way I was doing it was I realized it was the technical stuff people were liking, so I started to do more of that. And I felt like there would be just a tiny portion of mountain biking community that were like geeky and kind of liked all this kind of like line choice and technique stuff. So I was like, there's not going to be that many viewers. And then, it just seems like, I don't know, more people like it than I thought.
For sure, people have really resonated to it. But have you always been analytical like that then? Have you always wanted to really break stuff down?
I've always been very logical in kind of my processes. So in terms of being analytical with technique, I only really got like that when I started coaching and started really thinking about it. Yeah. Like growing up biking, I find I was analytical with line choice, but in terms of technique, that was just something that came through trying to go faster, crashing my brains out and learning from my mistakes rather than anything kind of planned. But a combination of being quite a logical person, doing the coaching, I've then become like that, and that's what kind of comes across in the videos. Yeah,
it's definitely giving you ability to really break stuff down and put it across as well in a really like easy to sort of take in sort of manner as well, which I think's like you say, you've never had any training. I don't know how you're doing it, but it's working, man. Just keep rolling with it.
Like I think it's just been, I happen to be reasonably clear spoken, and because of the coaching I know how to describe things to people, and because I enjoyed filming when I was younger, I kind of sort of know what to do with that. And then because I've ridden bikes for ages, I kind of have a background in that, and it's just everything's sort of just fallen into place.
Yeah. Crazy.
What is it called? What's the expression? It's when opportunity or when luck meets something. There's some poignant phrase there that would really fit what we just talked about. And I'm no idea what
Insert motivational comment here.
Yeah, it's good. I'm definitely just riding this wave at the moment. And that's why I'm kind of trying to back off on the coaching a little bit, because I feel like video's got more opportunity.
Really?
At the moment.
Yeah. That's always a fine balance as well, isn't it? Of sort of like, taking a step back from one sort of business and project and putting it into another, because no doubt it's taking up more time, more energy, more traveling, more money as well, which you need to somehow raise.
I think I've spread myself a wee bit too thin this summer, because I also run a downhill team of like youth riders.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
I feel like I've not done enough with them, and I feel really bad about that I'm not being able to dedicate enough time to kind of helping them. So I'm definitely needing to rethink how I structure things so I can actually do everything properly, rather than a lot of things kind of okay.
Yeah.
And that's been a lesson of this season.
Really, that's one of the big takeaways from 2018.
Yeah, do less.
Do less, but do it better. Yeah. Usually we like to do some listener questions, but there's a couple of things I wanted to ask you that we've not managed to sort of spring into the conversation. So, the course preview petition is hilarious. What are your what are your thoughts on doing that?
Well, I mean, I'm in about 3 different ways about it. It's like, I think I could do it really good. I would really like to do it, but it'd also be a lot of hassle for me. Because I'd have to bring out a bike, which I'd have to then have somewhere to store, build up, use for that one day, take apart, store away. And I'm so busy with doing the other videos that I feel being able to do all that as well could be a bit of a pain. But there would be other ways of working it, maybe. Also, I feel like Claudio was really good at it, and G is also doing a really good job of it at the moment.
Yeah.
And I don't want everyone to be like, yes, do it. I do it. And then I'm like, it's not that good. I'd be like, oh, why did we put all our effort behind this?
I don't think there's any danger of that at all.
Yeah, it's a lot harder than Claudio and G make it look. But yeah, I would really like to do it, but I think I'm nervous about how it would turn out. And then also, I know behind the scenes about why it's not happening at the moment and why they're doing it the way it is.
Okay.
So I think the petition is really cool, and it's amazing to see people want me to do it, but I'm not sure if it's possible.
Okay.
Kind of with the current kind of
the politics what's going on behind the scenes. What's going on behind the scenes. Yeah. Okay.
So it's a possibility.
Okay.
And thank you very much for everyone that signed it. That's really cool.
I like how you waved.
Like about the video chat here.
Current state of downhill. I think that's always an interesting thing just to get your take on right now. You're looking at this, especially more recently, from a totally different perspective. You come from being inside the tape to being outside the tape.
Yep.
And what do you think we're at, with the current state of downhill mountain biking and the sport in general?
So it's just becoming more specialised. When I was a kid, if you wanted to race good tracks on decent bikes, you did downhill. That was it. Trail bikes were awful. You'd ride any decent tracks on a trail bike from 10 years ago, it was sketchy. It wasn't comfy. I mean, it was fun, but it wasn't nowhere near the same as riding a downhill bike. Also, in terms of racing, there was only Scottish downhill, British downhill, maybe a couple smaller races, like Dragon Downhill Series. Did a couple of them, and there wasn't much choice. So there was a finite amount of races in the year, so it was easy to sustain that. Now there are so many races. If you look at the Roots and Rain, race calendar, they've got all the race series there. It's just swamped. Every weekend it's got 3 events minimum on, and there's just not enough people to do everything. And then you got your classic things where trail bikes are really good now, bikes are more expensive, can't afford to have 2 bikes, that kind of thing. So downhill now just have the kind of really committed people doing it. So there's just not as many. So definitely struggling with numbers, and it's looking like they're going to have to change things up big time.
Okay.
Because I know the SDA at the minute is struggling. They've got 75 entries for the Scottish Champs at Fort William the weekend coming up. And if anyone is listening and feels like doing it, I highly recommend you enter because they need the entries.
What would it usually get then, an event like that? Be double?
Back in the day, it'd be 350.
Right.
So it's dipped down a lot. But I mean, they will get more before the race. But I think that their break-even amount for that event is 220 they need.
Okay.
So it's like they're kind of struggling with it, kind of how they're going to make it happen. So, yeah, I think downhill is going to need to change things at the regional level to be sustainable.
Okay.
So I have no solutions. I think if anyone had the solution, they'd I've told everyone already, but I hope that it can be figured out.
Yeah.
But I'm not the man to figure it out. I mean, I'm going to be doing all the races because that is my passion. Yes. I still, like, pretty much everything I do, maybe not so much this year, but building up to now has been to fund racing downhill bikes because that's what I love. It's what I really enjoy doing. So I go to every single Scottish downhill race just because it's so rad.
Really? I've never attended one of those, but yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
And it's cool as well that you've always had that passion as well, man, and you still got to dip your toes in and keep your name, not keep relevant, but you've got to keep doing it, man, because you're talking about it so much as well. And yeah.
No, it's my passion, so I won't stop until my body refuses to comply.
Has there been any like offers come your way for next year then? Yeah, I mean, I've seen you're doing stuff with Pink Bike, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. You know, the inside the tape stuff you've done already has been incredible. Has there been anything more sort of like that you can talk about that's more long term or anything like that?
No, not really.
No,
I mean, Pink Bike are wanting to expand things for next year, but all has been said is that plans will be talked about. So currently, I want to do my videos as they are. Like next year, I love that I'm doing the videos kind of for the viewers.
Yeah,
it's funded by them. I just really like how that works. But I think I might have to like cut back on the amount of videos I do. I feel like coming into last race, I was feeling like creatively and physically a bit burnt out trying to put out all these videos. It's like 18-hour days just going flat out, like really. I don't know how the other media guys do it. It's insane.
Again, I think we had quite a similar experience recently. I went out to Crankworks and typical of me, I'm like, yeah, I'll do a podcast every day. Like, you know, I'll grab riders from all over and like I'll combine it and make a podcast every day. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
So 4 episodes. And then I got there and I'm like, okay, this is really bloody hard. Not only is it really hard, I need to find guests, convince them what I'm doing is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Luckily, I had, you know, the guys at Crankworks were kind of behind it and were trying to help. But I 100% burnt out. Hence why there wasn't one on a Sunday, because I'm like, I just physically can't do this anymore. I am shattered. I just want to sit down and just watch something, because I didn't get to see anything either. You know, I was literally just off talking to people all the time and networking and trying to figure out guests and stuff. I mean, it came out okay. Don't get me wrong. It could have been a hell of a lot better, but it was just a massive learning curve of figuring out how much you can physically do in that time that is sustainable, so that it's actually good content, not rushed. Yes. Like you were saying before, you know, you're not rushing it. It's like you've got a little bit of time to put it together nicely and make it, you know, good. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to work on for next year. And I can see the potential for other things happening. So I feel like I'll be splitting my time between other things. Like I've got a pitch for Red Bull, which don't know if they'll do. I noticed they have a half-hour gap in the middle of their live feed, and I feel like that could be taken up by something. So
nice, yeah. Yeah.
pitching something to them. Whether that happens or not, who knows? But there's definitely, I've got ideas for next year. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's super interesting. Okay, should we do some listener questions? Then get the hell out of
fire
here.
in.
All right, let me just crack open the old iPhone. I've got them written down on here. Okay.
Good say.
Nice. Another photo came. Hang on. Okay. Right. First listener question came in from @Spawn of Yorkshire on Instagram. Have you managed to kill Marty the Third yet?
Hi, Spawn of Instagram, or what was his name? Spawn of
Yorkshire, mate.
Spawn of Yorkshire.
Yorkshire born
on
and bred.
Instagram. Not yet. I have tried, but this one, Marty the Third, is battling on. So yeah, he's going good. But I'm quite intrigued to see the Mavic 2 that's about to come out. There's a new one that's getting released next month, and we'll see if Marty the Third's going to get a trade in or not.
Pro deals.
He's a family friend, you know. He's part of the family. So I don't know if I can let him go or not.
For anyone listening who doesn't know, that's a drone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not.
DJI.
It's not an animal or anything. You're not on about trading animals in or like distant cousins or nothing.
I am glad you clarified that.
Oh dear. Okay. What else we got? There's a lot of course preview questions. That's kind of funny, but we've already covered that.
Yeah.
Okay. @West5155, one of our friends, local lad, right of Kotick. Is being really tall a disadvantage for riding MTB? Asking for a tall friend.
Hi, West5155. It swings and roundabouts pretty much. When you're taller, you've got a lot more room to kind of move around. You've got longer limbs, so you can absorb larger features. So I've always felt like a taller rider will be able to go through like a really undulating section faster than a smaller rider, just because of the amount of room they've got. But then you have more leverage acting on your joints, which means your muscles then have to be stronger to maintain control of those levers. So I find the taller you are, the easier it is to get fatigued and the stronger you have to be. Also, on some tracks, it's just really hard to fit. Inner the classic. It's got really tight trees.
Right.
And when you lean over, naturally, your upper part of your body will go towards the inside of the turn. And the taller you are, the further you'll then stick out.
Yeah.
So I actually developed a cornering technique. It's called the squat turn. And you pretty much get your bum like on your back wheel and your chin like behind your stem as you corner. So you can fit past trees and things a lot nicer. That works quite well.
Okay.
And then what would be other? I think that's pretty much it. Oh, also bigger riders have more weight, so they're able to carry momentum more, and you can be a bit more powerful. But a smaller rider would have a lower center of gravity and not get as fatigued. So it swings and roundabouts, which is why it's so interesting, because there's no one body shape that dominates at the World Cup. There's like really small riders like Brosnan.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
Riders like Manar.
Yeah,
so
you've got like bulldogs like Brooke.
Yeah.
You know, it is really varied, isn't it? Which is really interesting. Yeah. It's so you ride the Santa Cruz, right? You got a V10 downhill bike. Have you ridden the 29er?
Only in the car park.
Okay.
Had a little bounce on Greg's one while he was out with a sore elbow. And yeah, I'm trying to get one. I'm struggling.
Oh, yeah?
Struggling. They've not finalised the layup and the linkage yet, so it's coming, but I can't get one quite yet.
Next one came in from Dave Camus on Facebook. If you could give one tip to improve overall speed (brackets downhill), what would it be?
Hi, Dave. Good question. There's definitely a few things that help. But I think, I'm trying to choose the best one. It sounds really daft, the one I'm going to go for.
It's not skin suit, is it?
Oh, actually, that's better, isn't it? Yeah. Purely in some tighty whities because skin is really aerodynamic. No, I reckon trying to look ahead, which sounds like such a cop out, but one of the things that limits people's speed so much is getting offline and off balance, and then like dragging brakes or ending up on the wrong line, or say having a mistake. And more often than not, that comes from looking down too much and you've not got your balance correct for the direction the track's about to take or the line that you need to get onto. So trying to look ahead at where you want to go. And it's not just like a rule that, you look 10 meters ahead and always look that far ahead. It's, you have to look at the lines you're hitting, but then immediately bring the eyes back up at what you need to see or where you need to go. So the mistake people always make is their eyes linger on features. Like there's a route, the eyes will look at it, and then you hit the route, and then you look up, and already you're heading in the wrong direction. Or there's a stump there or a tree there, and your eyes linger too much. Like target fixation, it's called. So you need to constantly have it in your head, what's next? Where am I going? What's next? What's next? So you're just constantly bringing the eyes back up at where you need to go. And that alone will limit mistakes, which will make you faster. And looking ahead will also encourage you to comfort brake less. Because when you can see where you want to go, you'll go. If you're looking at where you're about to hit, you almost want to slow down to kind of like process what's immediately in front of you. So scanning ahead and looking up.
Dude, that is so good.
Okay.
That was amazing. Honestly, like the whole time I'm thinking, wow, you're nailing it. Like, it's so true though. And I know, like, if you have a bit of a break from riding, that is the first thing almost that you think after going for a ride. Like, I never really looked up. I was looking at like in front of my front wheel. I was looking at the fender the whole time.
I do it as well.
Yeah.
It's hard. You have to consciously make yourself do it often enough that you start doing it automatically. But it's really hard. Definitely
Knowledge
hard
bombs, bro. That was amazing.
Good.
Sign me up for some 6 skills. Let's do it.
They had to sit through an hour and 50 of talking, and we finally got a good nugget.
We'll edit it down, mate. Oh dear. Next one. At JJ Lavity, Facebook. As a fairly new member of the travelling media pack, has Ben been welcomed by the other established media squids, particularly with how quickly he's gained popularity for his videos? Great question, JJ.
Yeah, nice one, JJ. I think the media kind of crew are all pretty friendly. Like, they're all pretty open, but I know there wasn't any negativity towards me or anyone shunning me or anything, but I think after I went to my second World Cup and then got that Greg Minnaar clip just by pure luck where he crashed and snapped his frame, I think a lot of people were like, flipping heck, he's just turned up and got like the shot of the year, one absolute belly. But like not like hating on me or anything, but just lucky guy.
Lucky first.
But no, I think all of them are like super friendly. Like I don't know all of them yet, just because I'm not the one to kind of like socialize. But those that I have bumped into and talked to, super friendly. And like a lot of them give me like tips on kind of like camera settings and kind of angles and things like that. So yeah,
that's cool.
It's been really good.
Again, super similar because I obviously did the Crankworks thing and spent a lot of time in the media room. Very similar to you, mate. Like eating from the media room because I was on my ass broke. And this was a couple of months ago. And I got to meet like Boris, for example. Like Boris was on the podcast a little while back, so it was nice to finally speak to him, and Sven as well. Like the nicest guys, like dead genuine dudes. So I've been kind of lucky as well to meet them, and again, luckily they've all kind of listened to the podcast, which is really cool. So shout out those guys as well. So yeah, similar experiences, mate. Yeah, everyone's pretty nice on the circuit by the looks of things. Okay, do a couple more, mate, if that's okay.
Go for it.
Charlie James, Facebook. Who is the most exciting rider to watch in your opinion?
Good question, Charlie. I would say Sam Blenkinsop. He has always been like my favorite rider to watch, just for pure entertainment value. Yeah. Just like he's so erratic on the bike, and he always puts so much energy threw the bike into the ground, just pumping the bike so hard, like skipping about, really stylish, and like pretty much you could watch him in a boring bit of track and be like, that was sick.
Yeah.
That was rad.
Yeah.
So yeah, really like him.
Blanky's section in Gamble was mind blowing. That thing.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Mind blowing.
Like there's loads of riders like I really enjoy watching, but I'd say he's probably top of my list for kind of excitement value. Just
Okay, let's 1 second. Okay, 2 more. This was quite a good one. Aidan Ellis on Facebook. He said, "I'd be interested to know if he thinks that with the increasing popularity in accessibility of enduro, it will draw riders away from downhill, and we will see less UK riders on the World Cup scene." Because that kind of is what we've kind of just been talking about.
So Aidan, it's a question that I think ever since the EWS started that people have been kind of trying to figure out. And by accessibility, I'm guessing he means that there's just more and more events people can go to.
Yeah, I think, like you were saying, the calendars are stacked. You know?
But one of the interesting things I found about it, I don't know if it's the same for every enduro series, but I find a big thing that divides people is that they say downhill racing is too gnarly. They're like, whoa, no, it's a bit full on. I prefer enduros because they're, a bit more laid back, not as wild. But a lot of the enduro races I do are on the same downhill tracks that we race.
Yeah.
Except you're doing it on a trail bike.
Yeah, exactly. Just a bit more miles to get there or something.
Yeah. So it's like, I feel like if you can do an enduro race and get around it, you can do a downhill race as well. But I've kind of deviated from the question a wee bit there. I think it obviously will detract from downhill. It can't not, because it is, you do get more for your money. You get more riding in. You can do it on the bike that you would use every day for just trail riding. Yeah. And that is why we were saying earlier on, like downhill is going to have to rethink how it works to be able to be sustainable at the kind of lower regional level. So it's just going to become more specialized, but the people that love downhill like I do aren't going to stop. So there will always be people there kind of racing downhill. I just hope it.
You think maybe like consolidating the race series is maybe, and just having less events, but making more of a not an event out of it. I mean, that's what the rise of things like Hard Rock and stuff like that. Yeah. You go there, it's a festival. There's stuff happening. It's not just you go there, you race your bike, you come home. Yeah. I think maybe more downhill races like that, where it is more of a a 2-day event or 3-day event or whatever. That'll
probably happen. Yeah. I mean, Crankworks is kind of like that in a way.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going that way. Because I know in Scotland there's 3 downhill series, but there's like 2 youth ones. So there's like Highland Hardline, which is a youth downhill series, gets over 100 people at each round. Then there's the mini downhill series, and they get over 100.
Right.
And then there's the SDA. So if they had a way of
consolidating,
it would that would probably work. But fingers crossed.
Time will tell.
I'll be going to them all. See how it goes.
Last one, John Craig on Facebook. Dude, you got a lot of questions, by the way. You're like, you should be pretty stoked.
So it's people that watch me on the internet are good at like proposing things.
Yeah, it's good, real good.
They're on there already.
What's Ben's reaction to Rachel Atherton putting a win in MSA down in part to watching CATHROVISION?
That was so sick. As soon as it happened, I like rewound the video and got my phone out and like Insta-storied it. I was like, that is so cool. I mean, I find now this probably shouldn't be kind of admitted, but my videos do not reveal what the best line is quite often.
Nice.
Because when I'm filming, all my videos show is who was fastest at the time I was there when I was filming. There could be another line that's faster, or it could be that a rider has just stopped just up track, had a rest, and then absolutely nailed a line, which on a full run he wouldn't be able to do.
True, yeah.
So it's interesting what I'm filming, and I think you get the general idea of what can be fast from what's worked, but it's not a definitive, like, this is the
Go
fastest
this way.
line.
Yeah.
This was the fastest line when I was there. So
It's a fair point.
I think the racers watching it's interesting. Maybe you can learn a bit from it. Maybe you're trying to do like a funky line, and I happen to film you and put it in, and then like that's a second slower, and you go, oh, okay, shit, I better change that. But it's more, I think, just interesting for the public to see all the different options, see how it compares, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hate to think that someone's changed a line according to what they've seen in my video, and then they've like lost positions because of it.
I think it's going to get to a point where as soon as you hit the bottom of that track after filming, there's going to be a queue of riders wanting to talk to you and be like, what was going on up there then, Ben? And you can start, being like, yeah, I'll tell you for like $50.
I actually did. I worked for the Specialized team for 2 rounds.
There you go.
Doing information for them, but line choice is so personal preference that I can give them the factual information that when I was there, this line was fastest, but they might not like it.
Yeah.
So it was interesting for them, but I think line choice kind of feedback to riders and teams, they can use it however they want, and it's not like a definitive kind of thing. So I feel like my videos are just more of an entertainment for the viewers rather than a resource for the racers. Okay. But it's still really cool.
It's still super cool, yeah. That's dope. It's so sick. Yeah. Wow. All right, man. We've blasted through just shy of 2 hours, which is nuts.
Boom.
Time flies.
Boom.
Huge thank you, obviously, for doing this. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on here. Thanks for taking the time out. I know you're a busy dude. And where can people find more about you? Like, what's your social media links, websites, YouTube channels?
Cool.
Let's
so
have
I'm quite lucky in that my name, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one with my name, because when you Google it, no one else comes up. So Ben Cathro, search that on any form of social media or whatever, and you'll find me. So it's like at Ben Cathro on Instagram. I've been at Ben Cathro on Facebook, and same on YouTube. So perfect. I'm lucky.
You are lucky. Well, again, huge thank you, man. I think you're only just getting going with what you're doing from my perspective, from the outside looking in. And it's been cool to sit and just chat, dude, and just like,
same.
Hear about your story and stuff. And we've got to meet for a brew or a coffee or something soon. I'll be up in Scotland in the next sort of month, maybe, at some point.
Good.
So
that sounds good.
Let's catch up, go for a ride or something as well.
I'll show you some wild trails.
No doubt. I'll show you some wild riding, dude.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me on. That was good.
Thank you, appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.
Cool.
Stay there.
Nice one.
Stay there. Alrighty, folks. Episode number 56 is in the bag. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation as much as I did. And if you have enjoyed listening, please don't forget to head over to iTunes or wherever it is that you're listening. Leave a little review or share the episode. Whatever you can do to help would be much appreciated. But most importantly, don't forget to follow Ben. Leave him also a little comment, let him know that you listened. And don't forget to follow us at the Hook It Podcast on Instagram, Facebook. We've got a closed Facebook group too, so jump in that and you can chat to other podcast listeners and arrange rides or whatever the hell you want to do in there. That's it. Episode 57 will be out soon with another epic guest, and we're going to let our good friends Main Event play us out with their new track, Thunder Rain, which is available on iTunes and Spotify too. Peace out. Have a great week.